Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have never seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a movie, and that movie is Venom: The Last Dance. Here to do that final waltz with me, of course, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, there will be carnage. Wait, no, that was the last movie.
No, there will be...
The last. No, right.
There
Oh,
will
I'm
be
sorry.
null.
Yeah.
Null and void?
Null and void, indeed. Gooch, I'm excited to talk a little bit of Venom's Last Dance. I saw it yesterday. You saw it on Thursday. We were unfortunately not able to experience The Last Dance together.
So before we even get into the movie, let me talk about how actually disappointed I was. Trio had to pick up his girlfriend for a wedding, so he couldn't come on like the Thursday night like we usually do it. And I was like, "You're leaving me alone with this piece of shit."
This movie.
Like honestly, if we didn't see Madam Web together, that may have changed the whole experience.
It's true.
I
agree.
I guess it's good to say that I feel like maybe I'll just go right into it.
Yeah.
The Last Dance was not that bad that I feel like me and Trio would have been going crazy in the theater. Now, if you've been watching Delco Nerd Network for a while, you know I have always hated these Venom movies. Not the character, but these Tom Hardy movies. I've never liked them. I didn't like the first one. I thought Let There Be Carnage, whatever the fuck it was called, was even worse. But I have to say, out of the three, I think this one is the best. But that is a very, like, bottom of the barrel best.
That's a bold statement, Cotton.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all I'll say. I'll throw it over to you. But let me just say, if you're watching, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and make sure to give your thoughts and opinions on Venom: The Last Dance. And if you're listening to this podcast, you know, if you're not following or subscribed already, please feel free to do so and give us a rating. Let us know what you think of the DNN.
Yeah, come on.
Podcast.
We need some Venomites in the comments.
Trio, how did you and the Venomites feel as you dubbed them while we were setting up? How did you feel about The Last Dance?
Gooch just sort of washed over me for the most part. I was telling you when I got here, I like kind of didn't think. I saw it yesterday around 12:30 with my fellow Venomites. Movie actually started at 1.
Yeah, okay.
So there's my ceremonial.
Or all the Venomites' names.
Right. I don't remember. I didn't get to introduce myself. But I was in there at 12:30. Movie started at 1. Sarah, you know, my usual complaint on that. But I got out around 2:30, and then I went to drop off some packages, and then I got ready for bed later that night, and I was like, we're podcasting tomorrow. Oh yeah, we're talking about Venom. I had like not even thought about it for a single second after we walked out of the movie theater. So take that for what you will. I did really enjoy Tom Hardy's performance. I think that's probably been the standout overall for this franchise. I don't know how a human being would act when they're controlled by a alien symbiote, but he gives me a good idea, and it's so weird and jerky and physical that I can't help but appreciate his full commitment to that. But yeah, this was, I think, the worst one for me, personally. It's just in a way of, like, I just didn't really enjoy most of it. I thought a lot of it was kind of campy and
stupid.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, okay. Like, I would agree a lot of this movie is stupid, but I think a lot more of the other movies is much stupider.
That's fair.
So, like, I was like, as soon as I threw it to you, and I'm like, it sounds like I kind of like the movie, but no, this movie is pretty... It's not terrible, but it's not really good.
Sure.
It's definitely not okay, but it is just a movie. It's not egregiously horrible by any stretch of the imagination for me. Like
I agree with that.
Like
100%.
Carnage was, or the first one, but there are a lot of stupid scenes. Like the scene with Mrs. Chen. I'm like, what is this?
I genuinely
Venom
was
just start talking about how he can't go Venom form, so the hunters can chase him. By the way, great design on those things.
I agree.
CGI was
actually completely
good.
agree with that.
I actually didn't notice
what were they
any.
called? They were
Xenophage.
Xenophage. Cool.
Yeah. The Xenophages look cool, but like Venom's talking about, we can't transform, or they're gonna
see us. Yeah, there's
our
this
location
kind of
and find us. And then for some reason, I'm going to throw all that out the window
Just
and
to
I'm going
dance
to
with
dance
Mrs. Chen.
with Mrs. Chen at the penthouse of some fucking Vegas hotel. Like, what?
Which, listen,
Like,
I will
we
say,
needed a plot device to get them to come to Vegas.
and it was that, and it was very, and Mrs. Chen happens to be there. And again, I'm willing to accept a lot of kind of, happenstance in movies most of the time. And I don't think this is a movie you're going to take super seriously, but there is just some blatant ignoring of logic like that, which just, I was like, what are we doing here? And like, then so the movie starts with this introduction from Null, played by Andy Serkis, which
couldn't even really tell it was
you
Andy
wouldn't.
Serkis.
No, you only know that by the
he
voice.
sits
And
in a
he's all in a
chair and
CG
he's
thing,
like,
and his face is
Here's
down.
my head.
And he's giving you this whole exposition about the symbiotes and what they've done to him. And I was looking back, so I guess the first one of these came out like the same year that Null was created. He
2018?
in like 2018.
Null
So-
is that new?
Yeah, he's very new. He's super new. And
I knew he was like 2010s new.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't know.
he's 2018. So
Wow. Okay.
I think if this
Quickest turnaround
franchise,
ever.
yeah, for sure. I think if this franchise committed to that storyline from the beginning, which they couldn't have because he was just being created, I think you might have gotten something more interesting and cool out of this whole trilogy. And I think there's some interesting designs in those. What were they called again? Xenophages, and even Null looked for just being a scary kind of black
like
man.
not really seeing him, but seeing him,
He looks
looked
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if they kind of committed to that aspect early on and really committed to the Null stuff and that side of the symbiote, maybe you could have had a real run for your money on this, and it wouldn't have just turned into kind of this buddy kind of comedy that we have at this point. Which, listen, Venom is a character, if you go back and look at his history, that has never really found a footing for exactly what he is, especially the Eddie Brock character. Like, he had the Lethal Protector storyline, but then in the 90s, he was turned very silly. Like, he could only eat chocolate because the Comics Code wouldn't allow him to eat people, and like instead he'd eat chocolate to satiate his alien hunger or whatever. And like, there's a comic where he teams up with Ghost Rider, and it's all very silly. So there is, precedent for campiness and silliness in Venom, but I don't know if that's what I'm looking for. And it also feels like, I don't know, maybe these people don't understand, like, even the character's power sets, because, like, one of the major things in this movie is he's trying to find costumes to get into places. The symbiote does that. It can change into clothes. Like, that's, like, one of the major points of it.
Yeah, Eddie Brock is looking for clothes.
Yes, yeah. And he's like, he has the weird pissing scene with the fucking guy pissing on his leg, and he throws him across the way. And like, guys, the symbiote can mimic clothing. And I get that they're not going to commit to everything in a movie, but like, it just feels like there are some blatant kind of story beats that you could really sink those, abilities into that we just don't see. I mean, he's mostly jumping around and throwing people. He's not even Venom for most of this movie, like we kind of said.
Yeah, I mean, and like, he web swings. Hello.
Did he web swing? I missed that.
No. In the comics.
Sometimes he does. Sometimes he just jumps and he's like a big hulking mass.
Yeah.
He can. I'm trying to think in...
He definitely does.
He does, but I think it does... I'm willing to accept that more, that he's just jumping around, because that seems to be like the norm in some comics.
Right.
But it also, again, that comes from that Venom doesn't have a super defined kind of character or power set, because he's been reinterpreted so many times, especially the Eddie Brock character. So all that to say is, I think you can have campiness within this Venom movie, but I do think it goes a step too far. And then when they just outright start ignoring plot beats just to have this weird kind of dance scene with Mrs. Chen, which I was literally like, dude,
and speaking
what am
of
I
weird
watching?
plot beats, the Dr. Payne character, I did not understand at all.
When the thunder starts a
introduced-
rumbling, you gotta run or something. Like, she has this stupid fucking saying.
Like, they like build up this trauma point that like her brother was killed by like a lightning strike, and she has like a scar from it, which you see one time.
Yeah.
And she's like living her brother's dream, which is to be like a scientist at Area 51, but she, and which is legit, but like, what that has to do with the actual plot of the movie is like non-existent. Like,
well, they're trying to give her character, but I just don't think it works.
right. Like, why do I care about anyone in this movie?
They don't
I
feel
can't
like real
believe
people to me. I don't know.
What's Baron Mordo's name?
I
I know his name. I just don't know how to
Yeah.
say it. So we're just
Continue.
gonna call him Baron Mordo.
Yeah, I'll get it. Chidwell Ejiofor. That's
Ejiofor.
awful.
I'll go with Ejiofor.
Wasted.
Who goes from being an MCU proper to being in the fucking C-list Marvel movies? It's crazy. And he
that
plays
stuff
like the
doesn't-
stereotypical like general who's bad but good, but bad but good.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's also just a
very
jerk.
stupid.
He's also an asshole for like no reason. Like the one woman's wearing a Christmas pin that her mother made for her, and he's like, "What the fuck is that stupid thing? It's not Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, fucking idiot." Like I don't know. None of the characters in the lab felt real to me. Like they existed before the movie started, and I guess that was a major issue for me. Whereas I don't know, for all the issues that I have with Let There Be Carnage, I think if you make that movie rated R and allow Carnage to actually kill people, that's a pretty fine interpretation of that.
Recast Woody Harrelson and rewrite his entire script because
Really?
that
Like,
none
Woody
of that.
Harrelson's so-
That's what didn't work for me.
That-
Is him?
See,
in that
that's
movie.
for me. He works fine. You just need to give him some. Like he's a great actor. He just didn't really have a lot to work with, and he wasn't acting that crazy. He just kind of seemed like a normal, somewhat goofy kind of dude.
Be carnage.
Whereas,
trio. Let me spit on that wig and stick it on his head.
That's the number one. He had a
stupid.
he dyed his hair in the first one or in the second one. Or he had a wig or something. It looked better. Anyways, it wasn't a Bob Smart.
It
but,
was still bad.
yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it way more than most of what this movie was doing because again, it just felt like it was more Venom. In this, it was just Eddie Brock kind of going from point to point with like tentacles coming
And it's
out of his
like,
back.
you know, we start off not even with that with the null scene, but like, oh, remember when Venom was in the MCU for 5 minutes, and then we're going to talk about
and they
Thanos.
changed that symbiote drop 3 times. It initially left a piece in the main MCU timeline, but then it now didn't. It was actually in the Venom timeline.
Yeah,
so
I'm like, dude. Like, I wonder why that scene even got made. Like, what was going on? Because,
Amy Pascal, she's turning arms as much as she can, and then he was like, no, you're not
because,
doing well.
okay, so not relevant, but relevant. Tom Holland was on Jimmy Fallon, and now they're, officially doing Spider-Man 4. Like, we kind of knew that, but, like, we didn't really know. And, that's all I'm going to say about it. And I was thinking, he's got to be in the post-credits. Why would they announce that right the week before if not an allusion to something? And we have 2 post-credit scenes. One is stupid. I'm not even like one of the character from the bar, from the symbiote that we're talking about, just walks out of Area 55, and that's what it is.
Yeah. And the other one's Null saying like, "You'll watch me burn it all." No, we won't. That's not gonna happen.
And we're setting up Null for more, but yet
nothing's happening.
This is the last dance, and Venom is dead. And this movie really thinks I care about Eddie Brock and Venom and Tom Hardy and the legacy of this character. They really think I give a shit by giving me a Maroon 5 song and like giving me like a montage at the end. I'm like, who actually cares about this character for this to even be even remotely appropriate? What is it, like 1999?
I mean,
where's
the
this
first Gooch,
from?
I feel like you're just completely ignoring that the first 2 movies did pretty well. Like I
am.
Yeah.
They did well financially, but like,
and
dude,
critically,
who
like they're
talks about it? Like, people aren't talking about Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man in the same vein they're talking about Tom Hardy as Venom.
right. I don't think this is.
There's no care for the character like that.
Of course, but I don't think this is equating that to like Robert Downey Jr.
No, but like,
sacrificing,
does that montage at the end not insinuate that like there's a ton of love for this character?
Sure, I guess like that. There's some love at the very least, and I think the box office does
Really
bear that.
scraping at the bottom of the love barrel trio.
Well, but I think that's being very like disingenuous.
You
I'm gonna be
liked that
honest.
scene?
I didn't. It's not even that. It's not about me liking or disliking the scene. It's about that I do think people care about this.
You thought it was appropriate.
I thought it was fine. Yeah, I actually found it kind of endearing a little bit. I did like the moment, but again, then they start flashing back to things that happened in this movie 5 seconds ago, and I'm like, all right, well, what do we do? It didn't like rub me, I guess, the way that it's rubbing. It seems to be rubbing you. I should
mean, it
say.
didn't rub me the wrong way, but I'm just sitting here and I'm watching this and I'm like, who's this for?
Sure. I think it's for
You're
people
insinuating that you think there are people like that out there, but I'm asking, where are they?
I mean, look at the box office for the first and second film. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what they're basing it off of. Like, you're saying, like, this doesn't. But, like, what do you mean you guess? Like, those people exist. Like, so.
Do they?
Are you just.
Where are they? They went out to go see the movie, but Where's the love online for Tom
But
Hardy
there's
Venom?
not like a love for like every single thing, like this diehard love. I don't know. I guess again, this is like an argument that I think is null and void in the way of like Oh, that was good. In the way of like
Zing.
there is a market for this movie. The first two did do well. I do think there are people that do care about this character. Yeah. Do I care about this character?
Care about the character of Venom? Yes.
Care about Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, Venom? Yes.
Yeah, that's where I'm having a tough time believing it because I don't see it, and I haven't seen it. Yeah, we've talked about this at all three reviews of like the money this movie made, and us, or maybe me, I don't know about you,
sure,
but being just absolutely flabbergasted that like this movie made money, and it. Do you want to talk about the box office right now? We might as well.
So I'm looking at. I just wanted to get the actual numbers because.
The international box office was the budget, right?
Yeah, it took care. Well, it was the budget without like marketing.
So it
didn't do terribly well stateside. So that's one thing.
Tom Hardy and Venom seem to have a big, I'll say, Latino Spanish presence, because I remember when like the first two movies were announced, they released them at what is it? ECCP or something like that. That
sure.
con in like Brazil that's really big.
Gotcha.
Like if the international box office is bigger than America, I mean that's also saying something that we're not the main market, which is weird. But
and that's becoming increasingly the case with a lot of things. And they are kind of trying to focus in a lot, even on the Chinese market and stuff like that in general. Mm-hmm. But no, listen, it definitely did better internationally. It kind of took care of everything.
Did you find the U.S. numbers?
Yeah, the U.S. So domestic is 51 million. So it didn't do amazing domestically, but it kicked ass internationally, which is the film pulled a highly respectable 124 million outside of North America, making the worldwide total at 175 million, and it says fairly modest budget of 120 million. That just makes me laugh. Which, listen, I will say. I like Venom looks good. Like you said, the CGI looks good for the most part. But I will critique the Venom look in general. It's too reflective. It needs to be more matte. That one scene when he's dancing with Mrs. Chen, like they're trying to reflect everything off their hotel room, and I'm like, this is too busy. He should be more matte. And I really was hoping, I don't know how they would do it, but I think you could just story it and somehow give him the fucking spider symbol. I'm sick of just having a blank chest on him. I think you could have just committed to that at this point, because I think the major issue with this is once you get past Spider-Man in the beginning, like the initial, intro into Venom, you can start doing Carnage and all that stuff, and Spider-Man doesn't matter as much. You can just be Venom and, I guess ignore the rest of that stuff for the most part. But they kind of didn't. They kind of just stood where they were at, and apparently he's only been with him for like a year, which I also thought.
Yeah, which I was like, whoa.
Oh, I would have assumed like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the first movie's 2018, the second one was 2021 or 2022.
Yeah,
and then we're 2024. So this, the movies really haven't been around that long, and yeah, when he like dropped a year, I'm like, a year.
Yeah,
like I don't know where we got that from, but okay.
Yeah, it seems like a very short amount of time. But I guess it sort of makes sense because I think it's
just odd to hear. Like, usually it's like if they would have said like 3 years, I don't think I'd bat an eye, but a year just seemed like really short amount of time.
I agree. What did you think about the other symbiotes?
They looked cool. They were on screen for about 5 minutes, so I don't really know how I could have given a shit. Was Ted, what's his name? Mulligan Toxin?
Yes, he was supposed. I mean, he is in the comics, but like that's not what Toxin looks like.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. It's like
again, he was a character that I felt like was just underutilized.
Remind me, who was the villain in the first one?
Oh, it's Rain?
Rage
or no? It's the Indian gentleman, and he's like a silvery symbiote.
Right. What's the symbiote called?
Yeah, Venom 1 villain.
Because I didn't get to my Screen Crush Easter egg video. Riot.
I knew it was an R.
I didn't get to my Screen Crush video Easter egg breakdown, so I'm like, who are all these symbiotes?
And I don't know.
One is Scream.
Yeah,
one is definitely Scream.
And then she turns into like an electrical one at the end or some kind or other.
Yeah, but like. I thought it was kind of cool when like, well, also like, oh, like the symbiotes are taking random people over and like trying to fight and get killed like instantly.
Also, that does not line up with the first movie at all. Like in the first movie, Riot wants to get back home for some reason, and he's like taking the symbiotes there, and then he's trying to call all the rest of the symbiotes because I guess the idea would be then that they were trying to escape Null. I don't know. And then it seems like
they didn't know either.
And then they were like, I don't know, you have to be a certain person to bond with a symbiote. Then in this, they're just bonding to whoever, like just hopping on and everyone's fine. Right. And they seem a lot more.
Did you watch this recently? I'm surprised you remember this.
What, from the first one?
Yeah.
No, not really. That's just I do remember like these pretty specific points for some reason.
Yeah.
Because I felt like they were the major plot points of the movie. The symbiotes seem to be very squarely bad. And in this, they seem pretty altruistic. In a lot of ways,
Victims,
they're just trying to get away. Yes, they're trying to escape a terrible ruler who created them, apparently, and that's somewhat cool. I think there's some elements of interesting ideas in this, but yeah, Gooch, it was a
we almost missed them. What about the family?
You know, I didn't hate them.
Stupid. Going back to that word,
like,
stupid. You know, like I didn't.
They were the
hate
only
it either.
side characters that worked for me personally, but I still didn't even
like
love them.
Another plot device that like moved things along. Like it was like, let's create this stupid thing to like, we're gonna get Eddie because after the plane crash we got to get him to Vegas somehow. The family was created there.
I was sad we didn't get to New York too, like at least with them both.
Right, like we get that, you know, again in the montage, but yeah, I mean, yeah, like, and you know, we get the lizard is back
and
as a hippie.
So
wait, so the family being a hippie honestly doesn't make any sense.
Why?
With whatever year
so I
it
went
takes,
to pee.
Whatever year it takes place, we're out of like our parents being hippies.
Well, sure, but like
it just doesn't make sense.
I don't know. That didn't. I don't even Gooch. That didn't even occur to me. Like
I'm like,
I don't know. They're just
sense.
hippy dippy weirdos. I thought they were my favorite side characters in the way of like they felt like real people and I sort of cared about them.
I like the kid. I think he was like kind of like interesting.
Sure.
What were you about to say?
No, I just wanted to get like some of the plot contrivances. Like we brought up like the thing in the back of his neck that can only be seen when he's fully Venom.
The Codex.
Yeah, and then for some reason the xenophages wait to call until like the very last minute for everyone. For all of a sudden, like near the end, it's finally like it released like a sonic thing that for some reason.
Yeah, but aren't there more symbiotes now? So they would kind of need.
Well,
help?
Sure, but like wouldn't you just like if you have the Codex, this is the only thing Null is looking for. I would assume as soon as you find like one of them finds it, you're like, let's go, it's here, help me get it. Like you wouldn't just wait by your. I don't know. That felt like a very odd thing to me. And then they all start showing up and Venom's just strong enough to contain them. Like he just wills it. Like he's like,
I'm just gonna like hold them all in my body.
Right.
Like,
and then we have Chekhov's acid rain.
And then he fucking pours the acid rain on himself, right?
Yeah. And then the dude's right next to him.
The grenade.
Yes. Yeah. And then like I love how he just starts raining acid on the dude next to him too, who then just he pulls the grenade. It's Baron Mordo. And then Tom Hardy.
Edgevor.
Baron, oh no, I said Baron Mordo, like his character.
Yeah.
Edgevor.
Or whatever. We're trying.
I apologize. But yeah, and then it just ends, and Eddie survives, and like the U.S. is like, thanks for your service, Eddie. If you ever talk about this again, we'll fucking kill you. He's like, okay.
Have a New York.
And then he goes to New York, and I was like, man, I would have actually
Everybody
liked to
hurts sometime. Everybody hurts someday. Hey. Okay.
Again, I think the absolute strongest element of this trilogy is Tom Hardy and his dual performance as Venom and him. So that's, I guess, the only reason that even sort of hit on any level.
I was talking to my cousins over the weekend because they were asking me about it, and I was like, I like Tom Hardy less because he did these movies. I have since the first one, but like every time I see him in a movie, I'm like, here we go. It's just good. I just don't. Yeah, it's never vibed. It's not vibing now.
Sure,
it won't vibe. But again, there has to be a top out of the three, and I think this is it.
That blows me away, Gooch. That really does.
It's a high tier flick. It's a high tier flick.
Well, I'd say low tier flick for me. Yeah.
I'm higher than you?
Yeah. I like Let There Be Carnage way more than this. Like there was so much more.
That's insane. I came out of that movie like
I know that blew me away. Like I don't know why you hate. It surprised me how much you hated it. To be honest,
like the reason I put a high tier flick because like I think it does look good. It it has like one good actor. Like Edge of 4. I don't know. I don't know. Like
I think the family and Hardy are great.
Like it doesn't look bad, but like. I don't know, like it was entertaining. I was kind of entertained. I think like once the fighting starts going, like I wasn't bored.
I was pretty bored.
Maybe
Carnage does like a tornado in the second one. He does like the Carnage like he does so many cool like symbiote things. In this, it's just I don't know, symbiotes smashing into each other and all like it's.
And I kind of like listening to Toxin talk about Clintar and like
that stuff interested me.
I was engaged, but like entertainment for like brain rot's sake.
Sure,
maybe not brain rot.
No, I hear what you're saying. No, listen,
like a low level of entertainment, which is why it's a flick, but it's a high tier flick because it's not a total piece of shit.
So again, I guess this comes down to how we like. I guess when I say low tier flick, I don't total piece of shit.
Our opinions are like I'm. What you're saying versus what I'm saying is like conflicting in my brain.
Sure,
a little bit.
All right,
because I feel like we're like on
similar. Like I guess like
we're like on the same ground, but we're not.
So I guess I'd maybe low tier. I'd be medium tier flick at the most because I think Let There Be Carnage is a high tier flick to me.
Okay,
does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like I can't. So I definitely like this less. So, because I was just bored, really, most of the time. I was kind of waiting.
Do you think you think you would have changed if we saw it together?
Maybe.
I don't really evaluate movies on that.
No, I don't think so. I think because there was a lot. It was a lot of the acting. It was a lot of the scientists that I felt like was really bad.
Yeah,
and just
for
was
sure.
Like,
I won't defend that at all.
Like whereas like I don't know. I found like Harrelson's acting goofy and weird and Let There Be Carnage, but like it's Woody Harrelson and I enjoy him and I think for doing a PG-13. That's the most you can really do with that character, unless you like, I don't know, try and do something else. But I don't know. Yeah, and the first one is just, it's funny. It just exists out there. Like I would actually like to rewatch Venom 1 just to really kind of like same. Just digest it maybe and think about it a little bit more.
Right. But I wish I had more time that I could like watch the first Venom before. Like I'm definitely
that is a short one.
This is the first time I think we're talking about this. Like I'm probably gonna see Gladiator 2 with my dad when it comes out. I'm definitely need to watch Gladiator 1.
We will do a fucking movie night. No, I won't. I won't cancel on you, Gooch.
Oh, I was planning on watching it on my own.
But I'll probably watch it anyways sometime soon. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm definitely gonna watch it with Tamira's before it too. So that's probably one I'll buy on 4K if they have it.
To give you some reference, Trio, I think on
it was before we were getting ready for a podcast. So I was like,
was it the PlayStation one? No, I think it was on the podcast.
It was like as we were set. I don't think we had started yet. We were doing our preamble chat, and then you started, and you were like, I want to rewatch the Batman. I was like, maybe we can because we want to rewatch for the Penguin. Maybe we can do that one night this week. And then you were like, I'm busy next weekend, this weekend, and like we'd have to do it on a weekday. And I was like, okay, so like, and that was about it. And then I was like, okay, so there was no follow up. We didn't even really like it was a half baked conversation. I was like, we're not. And from what you said, I
wouldn't say it was a half baked conversation.
I think it would. And from what you're saying, I'm like, all right, so it's obviously not going to happen in these next 3 weeks. And I want to start watching Penguin, so I'm gonna watch this. And then Gooch was like, you bailed.
Yeah, and then he watched a Batman, and I'm like, oh, so we're just not gonna.
So I'm chopped liver. All right, yeah,
we're just not gonna do that.
Yeah, we're not. Apparently not.
I'm still gonna try to watch the Batman.
Dude, you should.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't need to watch it before you start the Penguin. Honestly, I think it might be better if you got into the Penguin a little bit and then watch the Batman. I don't know. Because then you're seeing like what the Penguin's actually touching on in that movie. Anyway.
Anything else on The Last Dance, Goose?
Yeah, last thing. Because we do get that Carnage will return. What do you think Sony's doing? I
left.
I said Carnage.
Yeah. So does it say Venom will return?
No.
Oh, it says no will return?
So wait, you didn't stay for the post?
No, I stayed for the first one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and then it does. I forgot.
Noel is. I mean, I'm like, you just said it.
You're right.
Yeah, and like I'm being funny. Noel will return, and we got Madam Web this year.
Utter failure.
We have all these Morbius. We have all these Sony Spider-Man movies, but Sony Spider-Man villain movies, but like they don't seem to be connect. Like it's a universe, but like they don't connect. Why are we acting like we're gonna do something with Null? Like, what do you think?
I mean, Gooch, it's like the most classic Sony move you can make. Like
I know.
they're laying,
But like it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, and that's because Sony the entire time has been laying down the track as the train's rolling. They just are trying to build something and make money, and whenever it doesn't work, they change and pivot and turn right or start building a separate track, and then they don't finish what they start. So there's a bunch of fucking empty train tracks behind them that never lead to anything.
God, we gotta watch fucking Craven at the end of the year.
Listen,
3 of these movies in 1 year, Trio. This is crazy. I can't take it.
Can I say that barring Sony's involvement, that's probably the best Sony Marvel trailer that they've put out.
Craven?
Yeah, in my opinion.
I think I'm just too.
I know it's so hard
to.
It's hard to like even kind of like try to
it
like
looks
things.
Absolutely visceral in terms of violence.
Yes,
yeah.
and listen,
why didn't we get that for Carnage? We're getting it for Craven? Come on.
And like he seems to be like an animal lover, which they apparently came out and said that's not true. But like that trailer seems wild.
So he's not a hunter?
No, so yeah, but then they were like, no, he is. He's a fucking hunter.
Yeah,
so it's like
he's Craven.
I want to see those
That's the whole
goddamn
point.
eye nipples, like the line eye nipples on his chest. But like that trailer looks somewhat interesting to me. And guess what? People were calling that rhino silly looking. That's a fucking comic accurate rhino. It looks fucking silly as a rhino should look.
They shouldn't be using the rhino.
No, but that's so. This is the thing. They weren't like early Sony wouldn't do that, but now they're really trying. They're like, we need to get something. Like, all right, who is he gonna fight?
I need a small team. How about 6?
We'll have the rhino
Scorpion,
show up. Which cool. We're seeing like a live action rhino that's like an anamorph basically. I'm fine with that.
Have we only seen
does it have to be
one version of the rhino?
Yeah, it's only
Paul Giamatti.
The mechanical Paul Giamatti
crazy.
rhino. So like, and then it's like you can either, and then you go the other way where it's just a guy in a weird fluffy suit, or you go like kind of the middle ground like Spider-Man that PS4 did, where he's a huge dude but kind of locked in this weird biomechanical suit.
Yeah, I think the way they did it in the games are pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say something we were talking about.
Sony,
you know what's funny though? Like just thinking about the Spider-Man stuff like we've had. Like remember when Shocker was in Homecoming?
Yeah.
Never saw him again.
Right, but like that's fine with me personally. Like I don't really care. Like it's a side villain that you can use.
I think Marvel really needs to rein in post-credit scenes that actually don't go anywhere. And if like you're certain,
this is Sony though. Remember, just saying.
I mean, this is everything.
Sure.
I mean, like Marvel has to have some sort of say in everything.
No, they don't. Not on these. They have none.
I know
they can tell them. They can ask them nicely to do things.
Oh, but by the way,
and there's probably sorry.
Oh no, I interrupted.
No, I was going to say there's probably some quid pro quo in the way of like I'll scratch your back and like listen if you don't do this stupid thing in your Sony movie. We'll do this with, we'll put Venom in our MCU movie for a second. But that's the extent of it. They really don't. Marvel has no creative control legally. Maybe like handshake wise with Amy Pascal and.
Like out of respect?
Yeah, they're like, if they come and ask, like, hey, can you not do this? They'll be like, okay, to keep that relationship. But no, they really have no say in this, in that regard.
So you saw the credit scene with all the weird animals, right?
Yeah. What is that?
How many times do you see, dude? Avi Arad, Amy Pascal. I'm like, oh
Avi
my
Arad.
god, I want to throw up. Also, I want to talk about the director, who I don't remember her name, but I'm gonna get it for you. Why? Because it's important. Kelly Marcel. Guess how many movies she's done?
What? None. But that's like that.
Getting like again.
That doesn't necessarily mean the director's going to be bad. But like, it's hard for us not to think it's going to be with the track record.
I mean, Marvel has shown us that is also true.
But it's also, I don't blame.
I mean, Marvel proper.
I don't blame
when you get nobody directors to do Captain Marvel and shit like that.
But I don't blame her. Like she got hired to do the job.
I don't necessarily blame her anyway.
And she was strong, and she was told what to do by the studio, and she probably had little to no creative control over anything. And she had to poop out the fucking movie that they wanted, and it was an intro job.
She was also a writer.
Oh yeah,
on
she wrote
Venom 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I think what did she write before that?
And 50 Shades.
That's what it was. I saw her writing credits. Which, hey man, I don't know.
I love Letterboxd.
I do
I'll tell you
too.
that.
But
she,
IMDb
she
does
was
that
not
too,
only
but-
the director, she was the writer, producer. I know you
Right.
always bitch about that with like Zack Snyder
Right.
doing all
No,
these
for
things.
sure.
Like I saw that and I went,
But again, she doesn't have the creative control that Zack Snyder has.
right.
Like,
It's
not even close.
It's
You know
different,
what I mean?
but it's like, why are you wearing all these hats as a nobody?
For sure, and I think the idea that she was writing before and she had her hand in this makes her not a nobody, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I don't know. Just having a new name in and of itself is not a bad thing to me. But they just don't have any control in these settings, and that's, I think, one of the major issues. That's one of the things I'd like to see, corrected, especially, or see James Gunn do with the DCU, and that's what he says he's going to do, like really allow these people to come in and bring their own vision. But to get back to the shocker point you were saying with like he shows up and he's gone, a lot of people were, I feel like, fair enough, complaining about Superman, how there's a lot of superhero characters in it. But like when you
Superman and the Superman
and the new
characters in
movie,
it.
yeah, and there's a
Okay.
lot of DC characters in it, and like
Right,
it's like this is
right.
getting full. It's like
Right, yeah, I
do
mean,
you,
we've
like,
said that.
and
I've
it's
said
like,
that,
yeah,
at least.
it's like when you read a comic book, half the characters are superhero characters that when you go to your job and when these side characters show up, it doesn't matter if they're a big superhero. Like they're existing in your world and they're going to be part of the story because narratively they're needed. I don't need I don't need that to necessarily be leading them into like this whole thing that they are going to be a part of. I want you to just use that character correctly. And I think they do with Shocker. So like, I don't need to like see him pop back up again. Whereas like, I don't think they do that well in these Sony Marvel movies. They just kind of, like I said, lay the track as they
Right,
go
like
along.
why is Vulture Morbius? Like that was so random, and we're not going to see that.
Has something to do with Spider-Man.
So really quick before we close it out, I did look up what symbiotes are in this movie. Screen Rant wrote an article. So apparently, Scream is not with Dr. Payne. It's Agony. Lasher.
Makes sense. Who was the
some
volcano
There's
one?
random symbiotes.
That's
but-
what I thought. Yeah, I
Yeah, I was like, no
way.
way these are all named,
named,
symbiotes.
yeah.
But Agony and Lasher are two named one that
Because
that are
they
in there.
Riot was
the
one.
Christmas girl gets Lasher.
Because a lot of them are probably taken from Lethal Protector, which was used
Yes.
also in the first one.
Yes.
So that like Riot is from Lethal Protector.
I
as
thought
well.
them saying Lethal Protector over and over again was getting cheesy, but it actually didn't bother me that
No,
much.
I think it was only like they said it twice.
Yeah,
but
they
like,
kept
yeah.
going back to it in like a cheesy way.
It's like I
and
thought we
just-
were the Lethal Protector. He's like, we are, Eddie. I don't know. He sounds like a child. I still the most
But a great performance.
But
nonetheless.
but
Sounds
like
a child.
I enjoy. But
Great job.
Yeah,
Great job.
Correct. Great job. Greatest performance on earth.
Best
No.
job. Best Venom.
I guess I should
never get
clarify.
another
I
one.
just appreciate his commitment more than anything. I think he's having fun, and I enjoy what he's doing. So you know what, Gooch? Screw you, pal. God, he's good. But he still has a nondescript American accent that I don't know where he's from. But that's what he does in every movie.
If you have anything else to say about Venom: The Last Dance, please do leave it in the comment. And before you leave, don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you rate us if you're listening to a podcast service. But I'll let Trio
It
do
helps
the
us
rest of
with
the
the
intro.
algorithmic
Algo.
gods.
Yeah, algo.
Yeah, like Gooch said, I'll reiterate: like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend. We really do appreciate it. It helps us out immensely. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network on your service of choice. We are on all your social medias as well, at Delco Nerds, on everything with an @ We got a Facebook page. We got a Discord channel. All of that good stuff will be linked down below this video and or podcast. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns to delconerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.